I'm starting to think perhaps three of the mysterious four from Thriller Bark all could possibly have their origins in Wano in one way or another. If you don't know, in chapter 1158, we find out that the grave of the hero the Yamato visits belongs to Kazuki Moria. Kazuki Moria is highly speculated to be Gecko Moria. This matches up with the information we get a little earlier in chapter 1154, in which it says, Ogre Child Yamato's Golden Harvest Surrogate Pilgrimage, Volume 38. Go pay your respects at the grave of the hero born in the West Blue and raised in Ringo. This pairs well with what we find out in chapter 969, as in the second year since Odin's return, a battle broke out in Ringo, the Gecko Pirates versus the Beast Pirates. The grave of Ryuma, the deity of the blade, was ransacked at this time. So this paints a very interesting narrative in a number of ways because one, Gecko Moria was actually out there defending the country, presumably against Kaido, while Odin was dancing in the street, busting it down, which is quite an interesting narrative the more I think about it. But then also what's so interesting about this is that Moria got Ryuma's corpse after this fight, presumably. So it means that probably growing up, Moria knew about the legend of Ryuma. And presumably, I guess after he got his abilities, he came to the conclusion that if he were to be Kaido in the future, he would need some strong allies, presumably allies that wouldn't dial him like the Gecko Pirates did, of which we get a lot of contextualization about in Thriller Bark. So that's probably why Ryuma was the first one he went after. But what's so interesting about this, the more I think about it, is that what led him to find out that he could actually make zombies out of corpses? And I know I'm taking a bit of a wild turn here, but it's something really interesting to think about because the shadow fruit is not like, say, the hobby fruit or the soul fruit. Making life or transmogrifying someone into something else isn't the primary function of the shadow fruit. The primary function of his fruit is to treat shadows as if they were matter. So I think there's going to be a very devastating story in the future of how he found out that he could infuse a corpse with a shadow and then turn that corpse into a zombie. That might be a very odd and traumatic turning point for his character in the future, but it will better contextualize how he got to be how he is by the time we reach Thriller Bark. Another theme that might be important to him, and this is just spitballing, but it's interesting. So a gecko, meaning the actual animal, can shed its skin. And you can see shedding your skin as a form of rebirth. So what if that's the trapping of Moria's character throughout the story of One Piece? He starts off one way, he's defeated, and then he turns into another person, metaphorically, shaped by grief and loss each time. So he's defeated by Kaido, loses his crew. He takes on the mantle of the Gecko Pirates as Gecko Moria, presumably, and becomes a new person, shedding his old identity for this new identity. But then he loses to Luffy, which then leads him to losing again and Marineford by several people, only to be cornered by Doflamingo, and he is saved by Absalom, but in the process, he loses his warlord status. Now, what's so interesting about this too is that this could be how he got away from Kaido the first time, through the use of Absalom using his clear fruit abilities and turning him and Absalom invisible. If Absalom was with him back then, don't know. But then he finds out that in the post time skip, Absalom has been killed by the Blackbeard pirates. So after he raised the pirate island and finds this out, he himself is captured, And presumably after Piranha saves him, he will now have to reshape himself again after yet again being defeated. Hopefully, this will lead him to coming back to how he was in his prime as a member of the Cross Guild organization, because now, hopefully, he will find, I guess, a motive, most likely instilled by Buggy's charisma, to be a better him than he was previously, because now he does have a strong crew that he can rely on. So I'm so excited to see what developments will take place in the future. But with that being said, give me your thoughts and tell your friends about Polypede. What?